Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So they got these guys who were rappers, right? Mase and Camron, right? Camron, that's like camera on, because it's like you want to get out there, man, like someone's like, lights, camera, action. When that happens for Mase and Camron, that's when people start acting, right? And that's exactly what I think they're doing on this little show that they got. And it's I like it because they're coming out now and getting involved, talking about sports and talking about different things, and they're getting a piece of that pie, which I think is great, because there's, for years, guys like Mason Cameron, myself, there's a lot of normal people, famous people, whatever. Kind of hard without this YouTube platform to break into sports, media, and entertainment. But now anybody can do it, right? I'm a retired guy, chilling. I do it and I enjoy it. But these guys here, I'm glad that they found success. But at the end of the day, if we're going to talk about boxing, I got to tell these two to hold their horses. Stop taking it to the stupid when it comes to Jermell, Charlo, Errol Spence. Even trying to talk like they know a damn thing about boxing, Terrence Crawford, Deriick James. So this is the thing, right? Cameron went out there, as far as Charlo, he was like, look, man, you sold us out. You said you were going to fight Canelo for the culture. He's like, what culture? MF, the track culture. And basically just saying that Jermell Charlo ran all night and coming out and disrespecting Deriick James, and Deriick James right now is looking like garbage. His fighter Errol Spence lost. Charlo got in the ring. Charlo, didn't perform to his potential, and questioning how Deriick James earned, Trainer of the Year. And basically, then they were saying, so what's Deriick James going to do if Deriick James decides, if Deriick James is forced to make a decision on whether Errol Spence fights Jermell Charlo, especially if Errol Spence bubbled up to 154. There were conversations in the past, right, about them dudes fighting each other. And they always said, that's what brothers do, they break bread. And even I've talked about that, hey, what happens if the two of them ever decide to fight? And I'm going to tell you what, Deriick James already said what he's going to do, right? He said he ain't even thinking about that. But I'm telling you right now, he's not going to sit there and get in the middle of that at all. Deriick James is not going to do it. But to hear these guys, see, this is the thing. And I get it, man. Everybody's all about shock value, and they want to, and if that's how people feel, that's how they feel. But I think they're taking it to the stupid by just insulting Charlo and insulting Errol Spence and insulting Deriick James. I just think that's corny. Because at the end of the day, when you look at everything that Errol Spence has accomplished, he's an elite fighter that just fought somebody who was more elite. I definitely feel that styles make fights, and Errol Spence is an aggressive fighter who's on that front foot from the time the bell rings. The way Errol Spence describes his style is someone who's stepping as soon as he gets in that ring. Crawford is a guy who's more patient, cautious, looking to counterpunch, and once he figures you out, and especially if you start making mistakes early, he's gonna make you pay. So, and then Crawford starts stepping. But it's just the styles, man, that make a big difference in a boxing match. Okay, you take a look at Ricardo Mayorga fought Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley beat him. But Ricardo Mayorga fought Vernon Forrest. Ricardo Mayorga beat Vernon Forrest. Vernon Forrest fought Shane Mosley. Vernon Forrest beat Shane Mosley. So styles make fights. And I'm not really sure they understand that, or if they were just looking for a reaction the way they were ripping into Jermell Charlo. But at the end of the day, I think Jermell Charlo's performance gave, them and a lot of people, even myself, an opportunity to create, pretty good content. I just think that they should have at least expounded a bit more on. See, the thing is, if you don't have a trained eye, most people were sitting there looking at that fight with Jermell Charlo against Canelo, and were like, "Hey," like this guy said, he turned to a track star basically and just ran the whole fight. Now, I've already said this. I'm gonna keep it really quick. Charlo came out there. He came out there, I think, in that first round, and I think he really felt like, you know what? Although I think he was kind of in flight mode as soon as the fight was made and he knew the kind of money he was going to make. I think he was on cruise control. Like, hey, I'm good. I fight, win or lose, it doesn't matter. I go back to 154 and I'm all right. That's like having a permanent girlfriend and wife on the side. You know what I'm saying? But I think in that first round, Charlo felt something and he went full flight mode. But I'm gonna tell you something, that he let his hands go enough, and I said this and some people disagree, enough to make Canelo think 2-3 times about just trying to jump in. And I'm gonna tell you something else. Part of fighting is learning how to tie up, how to wrap up your opponent's arms. Let me tell y'all something. Unless you've been in the ring, it is not easy to tie somebody up. It's not easy to wrap their arms up. It's not easy to do that. Okay? And Jermell Charlo was doing a great job at getting out of the way of a lot of Canelo's shots and wrapping them up. He just wasn't capitalizing and trying to turn them and counter them. And when he was trying to pull counter and was trying to get some shots off, the timing just wasn't quite there. Okay? But that being said, I don't know if they should call. I know Letitia, she thinks Deriick James is garbage. I don't agree with that. You can't be a garbage trainer with everything he's done with Errol Spence as an amateur, as an Olympian, and as a professional. And this is what sucks about boxing. When you get people, whether you think they're qualified or not, whether you think I'm qualified or not, to talk about a professional boxer, they decide they're going to challenge themselves, right? Best fighting the best. 9 times out of 10 there's a winner and a loser. The judges get it right a lot of the times, but then sometimes fighters take the decision out of the judges' hands and they go out there and they get the knockout. But the person who loses, this is ultimately what happens. People just start to, tear them apart, man. They just shred them to pieces, and instead of giving them the credit and praising them for stepping up and taking on a huge challenge. Errol Spence, to this day, people rake him across the coals. Nobody was raking Errol Spence across the coals before he fought Crawford. Nobody. You know what I'm saying? People had their idea. People had opinions about whether Errol Spence would win or whether he would lose, just like they had about Terrence Crawford. But Errol Spence took a loss, and don't get me wrong, I understand the way he took the loss, but there are some people who have the audacity to say Errol Spence was always overrated. Errol Spence was always a bum. Oh yeah? Well, how did he beat Danny Garcia? How did he beat Sean Porter? You know what I'm saying? How did he beat even what's his name, man? Chris Algieri. Because Chris Algieri could fight, but how do you if you've always been overrated, always been a bum, how do you get in there and get those kind of wins? Get in there and fight Ugas the way he fought Ugas. And let me just tell you, what Ugas went through this past weekend, Errol Spence had a whole lot to do with that. The fact that Ugas took a loss to Mario Barrios. It's two things. The damage that Errol Spence did to Ugas and Barrios having a new coach. Barrios been looking good ever since that damn Keith Thurman fight because he got a new coach. But that being said, Errol Spence is not a bum. Jermell Charlo, and nobody should be shaming Errol Spence because Errol Spence went out on his shield. Now, Jermell Charlo, We all know Jermell Charlo pushes through adversity and fights hard. We've seen him do it before. We know no one can question Jermell Charlo and his heart and his commitment. But I truly believe, and I'm telling you from listening to what fighters have said, amateur, pro, active, retired. I'm telling you from my own experience. When you're in a ring and you get hit with some shit, the real deal starts. And I'm just telling you, it's a little difficult to make you think twice about letting your hands go. When you get hit with something crazy and this person just pressure, it makes you think 2 or 3 times about letting your hands go. I'm telling you, man. And if you do, you're half committing. You know who did it? You know, aside from Jermell Charlo this past weekend, you know who else did it recently? Who has a big fight coming up? Is Regis Prograis. When he got hit by Zorrilla in that first round, kaboom! The real deal started for him. And he didn't like it. You know, he got hurt. A little more torque on that, Regis would have been a 1-punch knockout. He would have got knocked out in the first round by a single shot. What happened during that fight? Regis, you saw him jabbing in the air, wasn't trying to hit nothing, throwing throwing left hands in the air, hooks in the air, with no intention on hitting his opponent because he didn't want to overreach, overcommit, and get countered. So he wasn't even trying to hit him. Okay? But you may say, okay, well, what does Regis have to do with this? Because we're talking about guys being in a fight, and the real deal starts, and they feel something they haven't felt before. Now they start second guessing themselves. They start thinking 2 or 3 times about what they're doing. As a result, they unravel. They don't look in the same shape, the same form and fashion of what you grew accustomed to. And for those who haven't been in the ring, they can't understand why. I'm telling you why. If you don't have a trained eye, you can't look and see and understand what the hell is taking place. You just see somebody who's not punching, and you're like, punch. Oh, he's scared. Oh, he's a coward. Oh, he's this. There's a lot psychologically going on with that person. And that's what we saw with Jermell Charlo. And for him to call out Terrence Crawford, that's something else that these guys, Mase and Camron, that's what they were sitting there talking about. How they just thought it was, kind of embarrassing for Charlo to have the audacity, and I'm paraphrasing now, for Charlo to have the audacity to call out Terrence Crawford after a less than entertaining performance against Canelo, because they know he can go on and make money, and he's just after money. Let me tell you something. Everybody's after money right now. That's what Massa and Camron, they need to get up on their boxing. Everybody's about their money right now. These guys have been around boxing for a long time. They paid their dues. These guys are towards the end of their careers. Everyone's about money. Money drying up in boxing, man. What are you talking about? Everyone's about money. And that's how it should be. They should be about their money. And I hope Charlo gets that Crawford fight. Because I don't think Crawford will get Canelo. I think Charlo go back down to 154, see what his mandatories are, what the deal is, see what Errol Spence and Crawford are doing or not doing, and we'll see what happens with that, with the matchmaking. But everybody's about money now. Everybody. Why do you think a lot of these guys aren't even fighting? There's 2 things going on in boxing right now. 1, it's been going on for a while. Nobody wants to lose. 2, people are really, really focused on money more than legacy. Really, they focus on money more than legacy now. That's not new. That's been going on here for a couple of years now. And I think it's just going to continue to metastasize throughout boxing with other fighters once they get those opportunities. Let's peel the layers back and take a look. Fighters who hit the winning lottery ticket and then kind of just went on cruise control. Charles Martin. Charles Martin went and had that fight, ended up picking up, I think it was the WBA strap. The guy he was fighting against, he got injured. Martin just happened to pick up the belt by default. He went over there and sold the belt to Anthony Joshua for like $8 million or something. This man's set for life. The next generation is good to go if they manage their money right. And after that, you really hear much from Charles Martin. He's trying to take his career more serious now, but he just happened to hit that Anthony Joshua jackpot, start waking up in silk pajamas. So it is what it is. With that being said, I was just a little bit surprised at how these guys were kind of going off on Jermell, Charlo, on Errol Spence, on Deriick James. But that's their style. Like I said, you got Massa and you got Camron, and when they get a microphone put in their face, you can see what they know about, because they're not dumb guys at all. And there's certain sports that I would say they're very familiar with. But when it comes to boxing, they're not familiar with boxing at all. They're casuals trying to intelligently speak on boxing. That's why they can't drill down and peel the layers back about the good things that Charlo was able to do in that ring. But if you doesn't, you don't even have to box if you really don't understand the sport, or if you haven't been in the ring, you're watching that and you're seeing a different fight from like me. I'm getting a little bit of pressure because I'm talking about the things that Charlo did good and the things that Charlo did that made Canelo think twice about just rushing in. But to a trained eye, they'll get what I'm saying. But that's why with me, I got to be careful not to be going back and forth with lobster heads in the comments, because these crustaceans will come out here and say stuff and they have no clue what they're watching. But yet and still they want to be the so-called subject matter expert when it comes to this boxing thing. And I'm not a know-it-all, not at all. We learn every day. I'm watching stuff and I hear these guys talking. I'm like, okay, yeah. But a lot of it I know because I've done it. You know what I'm saying? But we can learn, we can always learn. But these, like I said, these lobster heads that come into the comments, they'll say anything. Have no clue. Because there were some things about Charlo, although I feel he didn't perform to his potential, for the things he did do to make sure he didn't get himself knocked out, he was able to frustrate Canelo. And that's why Canelo started trying to headlock him and choke him and doing little shit, because Canelo, I would say he was bigger and stronger, but Charlo was able to wrap him up and blunt his offense a lot in that fight. And if you watch Charlo, just little subtle bend of the knees, getting under the shots, getting out of the way of shots. It's not easy to do that. And with a guy like Canelo making him swing and hit air, you know what I'm saying? Like, he just should have put something, he should have had something in return. He should have returned some fire. But again, it goes back to what he felt in that first round to make him say, oh boy, yes sir, loud and clear, I understand. I don't want any problems. It's just like when Redman was talking about MC Hammer running up on him. When Canelo run up on you like that, it make you understand real quick. If you want to be Al Capone, you got to go all the way in there, because if not, Canelo going to blow you out the ring. That being said, in case you haven't seen it, just go on out there, man. It's out there on Twitter and it's on YouTube, but if you go to Twitter, there's a little clip. It was posted by According to Boxing. If you go to According to Boxing, at Accord to Boxing, you see it right there at the top. And just watch the clip. I ain't gonna play it because it may be copywritten and that ain't my style to steal nobody's stuff. But just listen to it. I was just more like, what are they talking about? You know what I'm saying? It just was, for me, it was just like, they were irresponsible. At least speak intelligently about it. Don't just come out here being a bandwagonist, want to just sit there and diss everybody. Like, that's corny to me. But then again, they're rappers, and Massa and Camron, that seems to be what they do. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans. Massa and Camron taking it to the stupid. Don't know a damn thing about boxing. I'm in the breeze.